Hello and welcome back, Sergeant Major Sit Rep. Going to get right into it tonight. Thanks for your comments from last week. Appreciate that. But straight into it. The topic: sanctuary city meltdown. These federal laws that we deal with are not optional. Sanctuary cities just can't make up this stuff as they go along. Um, these Democrat-run jurisdictions, they've been telling us for years, we don't have to cooperate. That's federalism. We don't have to cooperate. Well, it's really not. But now they're in panic because DC has just decided, fine, then don't expect business as usual. What does that mean? Well, the bottom line up front, from what I can gather, what Reuters has reported, others have reported, sanctuary cities, they built this political system where illegal immigration is protected, federal enforcement is instructed, local accountability is dodged, and taxpayers are expected to pick up the tab for all of us. Trump is reportedly putting together a plan, a response that hits the sanctuary cities right in their little vertical coin purse, if you can see what I'm saying. But most sensitive areas, airports, international travel, and what nobody's talking about is what I've learned in the last couple of days: international cargo and federal customs processing. Yes, sanctuary cities. Yes, San Francisco, that brings all this nonsense from China that goes through customs. We're not talking about people. We're talking about cargo, billions of dollars of cargo that come through that customs enforcement location comes to an end. Where's your tax kickback on that? Where's your Amazon money for that? Where's your Wayfair money on that? It's going to be gone. So the plans are being drawn up. Immigration Customs are looking at how they can do this. This will be a political earthquake. These sanctuary cities continue to say, well, this is about local control. We want local control. Well, they've had local control, and it's a dirty little game that they play to manipulate the census numbers, have illegals vote, have their say without having to follow federal law. And we're tired of it. It happens in Arizona, it happens everywhere. Even though we technically don't have sanctuary cities in Arizona, you look at Phoenix, Tucson, some other locations, Bisbee, where they're doing the pride thing like every week now. I don't know what's going on with that. But these sanctuaries that shield illegals and harass federal law enforcement, to include some of our elected Democrat members of Congress, and of course Kelly and Gallego, those boneheads are always involved in this. But they want the federal money, it's going to be done. They want federal officers for what they want them for. Well, we need to process these goods and cargo so we get the tax money. Done. They want federal funds for their little programs. Done. They want federal officers for airports. When there is a spike in travel, they want augmentees to help them with that. Done. They want federal infrastructure money for travel and tourism. Done. But they don't want to uphold federal law. So the federal laws they like, they okay, we like that law, we'll do it. But the ones that mess with their ideology, well, we can't enforce that. ICE needs to take their mask off. They need to expose themselves. We can't have ICE in town. We're going to abolish ICE. That's not federalism. That's selective obedience, and it's unlawful. And people need to go to jail, but we know nobody goes to jail. Everybody gets they just get more money. But the nullification dressed up in progressive language, it's time somebody said it plainly, and Trump is saying it plainly. If you're a sanctuary city, sanctuary policies, not following federal law, we're going to jam it right up your wazoo, and you're not getting another federal dollar or a federal agent or federal customs to do your dirty work. So with that, let's move on to this real quick, and then we'll finish up the rest of the segment. So let me ask you something personal. How did you sleep last night? I mean, really, really, how did you sleep? Did you wake up at 3 a.m. thinking about things, bills, keep going up, groceries that cost twice as much? Went to the grocery store today, $300, gone. Whether your retirement savings is actually going to be there when you need it. Just spoke with Ed about that today. We hope not to touch it because we don't know what the future brings. We just got to leave that alone and let's ride it out. But here's something else. You're not imagining this. Everyday people, business owners, banks, everybody's talking about it. Everything is more expensive now. Whatever money you saved up until 2020 is gone. 22% of it lost. That's not an opinion, documented fact, and there's no signs of this stopping. What's the Constitution protect, you may ask? Well, it protects your right to property, the fruits of your labor. But it's being robbed by inflation. The hidden tax called inflation is slowly and quietly eroding that right under our eyes. And the Constitution is supposed to protect for that. But we see inflation, hidden inflation, all the other little taxes that go on, just eating it up. Retirement accounts, 100% tied to the stock market. When it drops, your savings drops, you're completely exposed. So there's something you can do. There's something you can do to defend what you've worked to build, defend the fruits of your labor, diversify a portion of your retirement into physical gold. Real gold, the kind that doesn't care what the market does or what Washington does to the dollar. Augusta Precious Metals. Say it every week. I believe it. It's here. Augusta Precious Metals. They are the leader in this field. They've been helping thousands of Americans protect their retirement savings for over a decade. A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau. They walk you through everything. 3 simple steps. It stays in your IRA or your 401k. No taxes, no penalties, no issues. Just do it. To get Augusta's free information gold guide, go to John's Gold. Yep, that's me. johnsgold.com or text John 35052. Get the gold guide. Check it out. Let him walk you through it. Bottom line, this isn't about gold as an investment. It's about a peace of mind and protecting what you've worked your entire life to save and build from a system that's quietly eroding it away, one pebble at a time. Augusta Precious Metals. That's what they do. That's why I recommend them. Go to johnsgold.com or text John 35052. Understand your options and make that decision to protect your family's future. Do it today. Back to sanctuary cities where we all started. So I get texts on this all the time. I get emails from constituents. They want to talk about this, but nobody's really defined the problem. When I look on social media and I listen to pundits and I watch the news like everyone else, but nobody's defined the problem. So I'm going to do my best to define the problem for you here, and maybe you'll understand why this is such a horrendous thing. But a sanctuary city is not just about being welcoming to guests. Then that's what they frame it as. That's the marketing, that's the narrative. The real issue is that these jurisdictions limit cooperation with the federal government, federal immigration, and that can include refusing to honor ICE detainers, restricting information sharing, or just blocking law enforcement from any assistance whatsoever. Now, you've seen the number of deaths from illegal aliens killing citizens. And when there's a crime like that or another serious crime, ICE will put a detainer on these people saying, hey, when you're done with them, just give us a call, hold them until we get there. We'll cuff them up inside your facility and we'll send them off to a foreign land that they came from. That's not asking a lot. And if you're curious about the funding for that, ICE actually pays for the detainer, and they pay very well. Local jurisdictions make a lot of money off ICE detainers because they charge by the day, by the hour, all the hidden costs in there. So local law enforcement makes money doing this. But ask yourself this question. If a city refuses basic cooperation with federal enforcement, why should federal immigration operations continue in a city if nothing's going to happen? Why should taxpayers in Arizona, Texas, Florida, and Ohio subsidize the consequences of cities that intentionally obstruct law enforcement? Yes, I read those states out purposefully with intent because Arizona, Texas, Florida, Ohio, where most of the U.S. citizens have been killed by illegals. That's the fight. That's the fight we're in. And the left doesn't want that question asked. They don't want it exposed. They want an emotional language. They want compassion. They want photo ops. They want empathy. Their activists are yelling outside the detention facilities. Easy for me to say. They're outside these detention facilities and transfer locations, And they don't want to talk about the victims. They don't want to talk about the repeat offenders, the rapists. They don't want to talk about the fentanyl, the human trafficking, the fraud. Um, but what they want to do is want you to feel sorry for these illegals that came in and sucked up our tax dollars and committed even more crimes. That's the moral. I don't even know what you call it. The moral inversion. They're trying to take empathy and wrap it around the narrative of an immigrant coming here for a better life. Which I'm not saying there are some that don't, but the ones that are absolute criminals that need to go back, which they all need to go back because they broke the law. But the absolute worst of the worst from the ICE website, these sanctuary cities won't hold them on a detainer. Now, tell me why we should keep funding them. I think we should be arresting them, but funding them, if that's the way we get them, okay. So it's been a long road here in Arizona with the border wall, the sanctuary nonsense, the Democrats trying to pad the census in different districts and moving these illegals around to different districts for the count so they get better representation. Uh, that's got to stop. They are not American citizens. They don't get the benefit of being American citizens. They should not get the luxury of full due process. They get a detainer, a removal order, and a plane ticket. That's it. So let's go back to the airports. This is why the story matters. International airports are just not local assets. They're federal security nodes, customs and border protection, immigration screening, cargo inspection, visa compliance, international travel processing. That's justice. That's not a city function. It's a federal authority being exercised inside a local jurisdiction. So make sense of that. That's where the federal domain is inside a local jurisdiction. Let's take Fort Bliss, Texas. It's inside El Paso, but everything that occurs on Fort Bliss is inside a federal jurisdiction. So on the outskirts of El Paso, you have all the liberal wannabe sanctuary thumbsuckers, but on post, not the same federal jurisdiction. So if that jurisdiction says we will not cooperate with federal enforcement, DHS, they should just fairly ask why would we continue providing full federal immigration processing and funding if you're not going to cooperate? It's not revenge, it's leverage, it's chain of command, it's operational discipline, but that is a consequence for not following federal law. They signed on to it. They became part of the United States, and now they want to do their own thing in local governments. I'm not opposed to local governments. Everything should be done at the lowest level. But when local governance puts illegals in front of citizens, that's where the federal government should step in and kick them in the coin purse. But till now, nobody's done anything about it. It sounds like Trump's doing something about it now. But on to the bigger picture. These sanctuary cities often complain they don't have money for schools. They have a housing crisis. The hospitals are overwhelmed. Well, when you bring 20 million people into this country on the taxpayer dollar, and you have to fund them, you have to feed them, you have to house them, you have to educate them, you have to treat them, that's overwhelming to the system. Where does the American citizen stand? Well, we just get the raw end of the stick. So finally, somebody's doing something about it. I'm waiting to see what the final outcome is, and hopefully Trump sticks it right up their wazoo, but we'll see what happens. It's not hypocrisy. It's you know, everything that we've talked about has led to this. Sanctuary cities have been begged. We've pleaded with them. We've tried to come up with reasonable solutions, but these angry Karen leftist Democrats that are filthy rich can do what they want, that manipulate the very poor. That's all they have in their party: the filthy rich and the very poor. They've lost the middle section of the Democrat Party. So how do we rebuild the middle section, the middle class? Well, we bring in illegals and we give them a lot of shit. And now the illegals are going to vote for us because we take care of it. That's the bigger play. So it's not happening in a vacuum. House Judiciary opened an investigation in New York City, 2 weeks ago, and their sanctuary policies and the non cooperation with ICE detainers. It was reported, I believe, Tuesday that the committee is looking into New York officials, including the New York PD Commissioner, Jessica Tisch, and Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg. Okay, how many times are we going to look at these two boneheads? When are we going to do something? That police commissioner swore an oath, Alvin Bragg swore an oath, and they have violated that oath of office. That's malfeasance of office, plus the sanctuary stuff. Let that sink in. They've already violated their oath of office on day one, but nobody's done anything. Not a thing. According to the report that I read, which was a closed report for eyes only, they've honored less than 4% of ICE detainers, and that was the worst of the worst list, and multiple arrests. And the four that they honored had physical injuries prior to being arrested, but they had physical injuries. The city of New York did not want to pick up their medical bill. That's the only reason they executed those detainers, so the federal government could come and arrest them, pick up the medical bills before they ship them out. That's insane that taxpayers are being forced to pay for this. Now, how does this filter into Arizona? So let me bring it back home. Arizona voters approved Proposition 314, the Secure Border Act. The measure was a direct response to border failure, federal inaction, public safety pressure, the reality that Arizona was the tipping point for this. Now, people think of the wall, they think of the harsh border, but there are portions in Arizona, especially down in Cochise County, that triple strand barbed wire on the green post. Everybody's seen the green post, white top, 3 strands of wire. That separates Arizona from Mexico. Now, there's a border road there that is an easement operated by the United States government where Border Patrol drives up and down. They don't even cut the wire. They just throw a rug across the top, hop the wire, and they're in the United States, and boom, they're gone. So Arizona's hit Proposition 314, overwhelmingly hit that with a win. And the ground truth is, once Arizona started working its border walls, we could see the smuggling corridors being channelized into certain areas, and there was more enforcement. And it helped our thinly stretched law enforcement. But what it also did is it pushed immigrants that were in line doing it lawfully kind of even further back, because we had more problems with the illegals coming over and everything was stretched thin. But the main thing it did in the Yuma sector, it overwhelmed the Yuma hospital, because everybody that came across that was injured, pregnant, what have you, had to be treated. So that hospital was $26 million in debt. And it wasn't from taking care of citizens, it was taking care of illegals. So the Democrat playbook is obvious. They're going to call this authoritarianism. Trump is a Hitler. He is just a dictator. Then they're going to call it anti-immigrant. They're going to say it hurts small business, it hurts the workforce. Then they're going to pretend sanctuary policies have nothing to do with crime or public safety. I'm telling you, this is my prediction. It will come true because I've seen it time and time again. For those of you that don't live in a border state, even though you're dealing with it now, this is what the Democrats do in Arizona, Texas. If you're on the Mexican border, this is the playbook. I've seen it time and time again my entire life since I was a kid. They have done this. Fifth, they're going to drag out carefully selected emotional stories with some poor little victim, like the Abrego thing. They're going to repeat that again. They're going to find some mom with her little child who's looking for a better way of life. They're going to provide some sob story. But what they don't tell you, that she was trafficked to get over here. That child she probably had as a result of that trafficking. Now she's stuck here with a baby that she didn't want, but luckily didn't abort it. And it's going to be the saddest story on the face of the earth. And dirty Republicans just want to send this woman and her child back to Mexico where she can be beaten and raped all the time. and she won't have a job. They're going to starve to death and die. The cartels are going to resell them again. That's going to be the narrative. I'm telling you, folks, it's going to play out. I'm 100% right. You can challenge me all you want on it, but that is the narrative every single time, year after year, month after month. This is what to do, and it would be the same ones. De Los Santos, Ortiz, all the same ones are going to come out. Of course, Tubby Little Ruben's going to jump on the bandwagon with all his little buddies. But where does that leave the American citizen? Unprotected, paying taxes for something that we shouldn't. What's the moral question here? Who gets protected first? The U.S. citizen or the illegal? The victim or the offender? The taxpayer or the activist network and the NGOs? So government exists for one thing: protected citizens. All the other stuff is secondary. If the government cannot protect its citizens, then it has no reason to exist. It's not being hateful, it's not being extreme. That is the purpose of government. And when government doesn't, we're all victims. So, what should happen next? First, Congress needs to get off their ass, pass the SAVE Act so these people can't vote. They need to investigate every single sanctuary jurisdiction and force disclosure of cooperation. And if the detainer policies, economic policies, communication policies are violated, then DHS puts them on a list. Federal grants need to be reviewed. That money needs to go. Airport customs processing, gone. Border states, we should be the priority, because not only do we have sanctuary, non-sanctuary, sanctuary areas, but we are taking the brunt of the attack with housing, medical, taxes. No speeches, no word salads, no bullshit. Just close this down. If a law enforcement agency refuses to work with ICE or DHS, then close it down, defund it, and make the city pay for it, make the county pay for it. If they want that stuff, make them pay for it, but no more federal money. That's it. That's simple. Let's roll with it. Let's see what happens. We'll talk to you next week. Train like they hate you, because they do.